does one approach a multi-character play with all of these giant monologues? How does one approach that as an actor, strictly in the terms of getting it into your brain body, getting it into your self? How do you do it? What's your process?
The way I was going to do that for that part in that play was just to think of it. Story theater is the whole idea of it.
That's why I love it.
It goes back to Chicago and those people.
The audience has to work.
Right. So you're just a guy telling a story around a campfire, and you want them to envision, the Shakespearean, the Stentorian kind of Dickensian super guy. But yeah, it's just you telling the story.
So how do you put it into your head, though? These are a lot of words in big chunks, and so it's a little bit. I'm not saying it's the best written thing. A little bit of redundancy and stars. How do you put that? How do you remember those words?
How do my technique is I write it all down.
By hand.
By hand, and that's important.
You handwrite everything you play.
If I brought my sides that I'm making for the Peppermint King, I'd show you. I write down the minimum understanding that I need for a cue line, and then I write down my lines like they're poetry. You break every line into its smallest possible.
How come Ollie is correcting Shamrock? Usually it should be.
Mammoth says there's like 27 different definitions of the word beat.
That's right. I've heard that.
But what I'm looking for is almost like a line of poetry, so that when you're done, what you say looks like just a ribbon of speech, like a poem. And then all I do is I keep reading. I read it like a million times.
Do you connect it, as most people do, to actions and little bits of business and things like that?
More and more, it's just the words that you wrote down on the page, because you begin to see things like, oh, there's 2 O's here and there's 2 O's here.
So you're a bit of a visual guy.
Yeah. So that when I actually do the play, I'm seeing the lines like 3 words.
That's what I've done with mine.
And I'm seeing them that way. Like here's a preposition for you.
I remember when you first had
it's a lot of words in this play.
Oh yeah. And see, what I do,
even though it's short.
But I never walk on stage with my script.
I'm not bringing him to taste.
What I walk on stage with at most is what I've written down on loose leaf paper of my lines as poetry.
Now he knows what's going on.
Because all I need to do is glance at the cue line and I'll know where I am in the script.
You make your own handwritten visual script.
Yeah, like I wrote it.
And the script.
That's real important. That you go through that. That you go through the physical act of writing it, and then you can convince yourself in your mind that's the play you wrote.
It's fucking brilliant.
I love it. Works like a charm. And then you picture in your mind you're writing, and you decide when you're writing down the lines, where does this line end? Because I only want a phrase. I only want the barest possible part of it. And so each word starts to take on the meaning that you give to it.
So you become the playwright.
Yeah.
And then you break the fourth wall.
Yeah.